Most people think the reason they feel broke is that they do not make enough money, but that is only half of the story. The deeper problem is that their money is already spoken for before it even arrives. The paycheck hits the account, and for 1 or 2 hours it looks like progress. The number is bigger, the stress drops, you feel like you can breathe again. But then the rent comes out, the car payment comes out, the insurance comes out, the credit card minimum comes out, the phone bill comes out, the subscriptions come out, the groceries hit harder than expected, and suddenly, the paycheck that was supposed to move your life forward has only reset the clock for another month. This is the trap most people never name. They do not live on their income. They live on what is left after everyone else has claimed a piece of that income. And the dangerous part is that many of those claims were created one small decision at a time. A slightly nicer apartment, a slightly newer car, a phone plan that felt normal, a streaming service that cost less than lunch, a credit card balance that started as one emergency, a financing plan that made a purchase feel painless. None of these decisions looked life-changing by itself, but together they created a financial machine that eats the future before you get there. That is why 2 people can make the same salary and live completely different lives. One person earns money and then decides where it should go. The other earns money and watches it disappear into decisions they made months or years ago. The difference is not just discipline, it is structure. If your fixed obligations are too high, motivation will not save you. A budget will not feel powerful if 80% of your income is already locked in before the month begins. This is why the first rule of personal finance is not just spend less than you make. The first rule is protect your future income from being pre-sold. Every monthly payment is a claim on a version of you who has not been paid yet. Every loan, every subscription, every contract, every balance that carries interest is a promise that your future self will work for something your current self already consumed. Sometimes that trade is necessary. Housing is necessary. Transportation may be necessary. Emergency borrowing can happen. But when too many promises stack up, income stops feeling like freedom and starts feeling like a delivery system for other people's bills. This is also why small payments are more dangerous than big prices. A big price scares you. A small payment comforts you. A big price makes you pause. A small payment makes you ask, "Can I fit this into my month?" But fitting something into your month is not the same as affording it. Affording something means you can pay for it without weakening your ability to handle the next problem. It means the purchase does not steal your flexibility. It means you can still save, still invest, still absorb surprise expenses, still walk away from a bad job, still make choices. A payment that technically fits but leaves you with no room is not affordable. It is fragile, and fragile finances are expensive. When you have no margin, every small problem becomes a crisis. A flat tire becomes credit card debt. A medical bill becomes a payment plan. A delayed paycheck becomes an overdraft fee. A family emergency becomes a personal loan. Then the solution to one problem becomes the source of the next problem. This is how people get pulled into a cycle where they are always paying for the last surprise and never preparing for the next one. The system is built to make this feel normal. Companies do not want you focused on total cost. They want you focused on monthly comfort. They show you the payment, not the lifetime price. They show you the minimum, not the interest. They show you the lifestyle, not the obligation. They make the decision feel emotional and the math feel optional. But money does not care how the offer made you feel. The balance still grows. The payment still comes due. The interest still compounds. The contract still holds. The calendar still moves. And when the month gets tight, The company that sold you comfort will not be there to give you breathing room. That is why the strongest financial move many people can make is not a bigger investment or a complicated strategy. It is lowering the number of hands reaching into their paycheck. Fewer fixed payments, fewer automatic withdrawals, fewer balances, fewer contracts, fewer promises against future income. This sounds boring because it is not flashy, but boring is often where financial strength begins. A person with a modest income and low obligations can be more free than a person with a high income and no margin. The high earner may look richer, but the person with fewer claims on their income can breathe. They can wait. They can negotiate. They can save aggressively when an opportunity appears. They can survive a bad month without panic. They can choose based on long-term benefit instead of immediate pressure. That is what money is supposed to buy first. Options. Not status, not applause, not the appearance of success, but options. The option to leave, to wait, to say no, to invest, to rest, to take a calculated risk, to help someone without destroying yourself. When your paycheck is fully committed, those options disappear. You may still look successful from the outside, but internally you are trapped in maintenance mode. You are working to keep up the image of a life that does not actually give you peace. This is why lifestyle inflation is so quiet. It does not usually happen as one reckless decision. It happens when your idea of normal keeps getting more expensive. You get a raise, and the old apartment feels beneath you. You earn more, and the used car feels embarrassing. You get promoted, and suddenly eating out feels deserved. You work hard, so you tell yourself comfort is the reward. And comfort is not wrong. Enjoying money is not wrong. But if every increase in income is immediately converted into a higher baseline, you never become wealthier. You only become harder to support. Your life gets more expensive at the same speed your income grows. Then the raise does not create freedom. It creates a new minimum cost of existing. This is the part people miss. Wealth is not just how much money comes in. Wealth is the gap between what comes in and what must go out. If that gap is small, even a large income can feel poor. If that gap is growing, even a normal income can become powerful over time. The gap is where savings live. The gap is where investments begin. The gap is where emergencies stop being disasters. The gap is where freedom is built. So if you want to understand your real financial position, do not start by asking how much you make. Ask how much of your income is still yours after the non-negotiables. Then ask how many of those non-negotiables were actually choices that became habits. This question can be uncomfortable, but it is also where control returns. Maybe you cannot change rent tomorrow. Maybe you cannot erase debt instantly. Maybe you cannot cancel every obligation. But you can stop adding new ones. You can delay the upgrade. You can keep the paid-off car longer. You can cancel the services you barely use. You can attack the smallest balance to remove one claim from your paycheck. You can build a small emergency fund so the next surprise does not become another monthly payment. You can make future income harder to capture. That is the real strategy. Make your paycheck harder to steal before it arrives. When a new offer appears, do not ask only, "Can I afford the payment?" Ask, "What part of my future does this claim?" Ask, "What happens if my income drops?" Ask, "What opportunity will I lose because this payment exists?" Ask, "Will this make my life stronger or just heavier?" These questions change the way you see money. A car is no longer just a car. It is a monthly claim, an insurance increase, maintenance risk, depreciation, and years of reduced flexibility. A credit card balance is no longer just a balance. It is future income being taxed by past decisions. A subscription is no longer just a few dollars. It is one more small leak in a system that may already be under pressure. And again, the point is not to live miserably. The point is to make sure your spending is serving your life instead of quietly taking control of it. There is a huge difference between buying something from strength and buying something from pressure. When you buy from strength, you can afford the total cost. You understand the trade-off, and the decision does not weaken your foundation. When you buy from pressure, you are trying to feel better now and hoping the future will absorb the bill. The future usually can absorb one bill. It cannot absorb all of them forever. Eventually, the future becomes the present, and you meet the version of yourself who has to pay for every decision that felt small. That meeting is where many people feel confused. They say, "I make decent money, so why am I still stuck?" They are stuck because their income is not flowing toward freedom. It is flowing toward maintenance, interest, convenience, and old commitments. To change that, you do not need to become perfect. You need to become deliberate. Pick one obligation and remove it. Pick one payment and shorten its life. Pick one habit and reduce its frequency. Pick one purchase and wait 30 days. Pick one raise and do not spend it for 6 months. These moves look small, but they reverse the direction of your life. Instead of future income being claimed by the past, future income starts becoming available for choices. That is when money begins to feel different. Not because you suddenly become rich, but because you stop feeling cornered. You see cash sitting in the account after bills are paid. You see an emergency happen without debt. You see an opportunity and have the ability to act. You see a job you dislike and know you are not trapped there by payments. That feeling is worth more than most upgrades people chase. Peace is an asset. Flexibility is an asset. Low obligations are an asset. And in a world designed to sell you monthly payments, protecting your free cash flow is a quiet form of rebellion. The next time a company tells you something is affordable, translate the sentence. They may mean the monthly payment is small enough to make you stop thinking about the total cost. They may mean the contract is long enough to hide the pain. They may mean your future income can be divided into pieces before you even earn it. Do not let the payment be the whole story. Look at the total cost. Look at the term. Look at the interest. Look at the risk. Look at the freedom you are giving up, because the goal is not to look like you can afford everything. The goal is to build a life where fewer things own your next paycheck.